ladder of life, atoms are at the base. Atoms make up simple inorganic compounds, which combine to make simple organic compounds. Simple organic compounds make up complex organic compounds like carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. It is these complex organic compounds that make up the cell and its parts, the basis of life. The cell is 70% water, mixed with complex organic compounds like carbohydrates and proteins. Within living things, water is the universal solvent. This is the substance in which all these particles float. The particles in the water are called the solute. There are 3 types of mixtures present in the cell: solutions, colloids, and suspensions. In this lesson, we will compare the 3 types. The biggest difference amongst the 3 mixtures, and the one that affects all the other properties, is particle size. Solutions have the smallest particle size. Colloids have particles that are just a little bit larger. Suspensions have the largest particles. The particles in a solution are so tiny that they do not settle out of the solvent. They remain permanently dissolved. Suspensions, on the other hand, have particles too large to stay permanently suspended in the solvent. These particles eventually settle out of the liquid and form a precipitate at the bottom of the container. Colloids are in between solutions and suspensions in particle size, but generally speaking, these particles do not settle out of a colloid. Filtration is the removal of particles by passing the mixture through a filter. It is impossible to filter the particles from a solution because the particles are just too small. Particles can, however, be removed from a suspension since they are larger. Some colloids may have their particles removed by filtration, given a fine enough filter. A selectively permeable membrane allows some particles to pass through, but excludes others. Small particles are able to pass through a selectively permeable membrane. Larger particles are excluded for their size. Particles in solution are small enough to pass through a membrane. The particles in colloids and suspensions, however, are too large to pass through. Brownian movement is the random movement of particles in a fluid because of the collision of atoms or molecules within the fluid. If a light is shined on the solution, the movement of the particles in the mixture causes light to scatter. Particles in solution are so small that they do not scatter light. Light beams pass through unaffected. Colloids and suspensions, on the other hand, do scatter light as a result of the Brownian motion of their larger particles. Milk is an example of a colloid. You can see that light passes through somewhat, but the beams of light are affected. Suspensions have particles so large that light is blocked altogether. All light beams are reflected.